Before we start, I want to say thank you, Irat, for reaching out to me to share my cloud career journey. And I also want to thank Women Coding Community for giving me the opportunity to share today. And I also appreciate everyone that had joined today, that have taken out time to join the session today. Okay, so I would now share my screen. Um, yeah, okay. So please let me know when if you can see my screen so that I will just start.
Yes,
Okay, you can
you
see
can.
my screen. Okay. Okay, so my name is Oyin. Yes. Instead of calling Oyin Consola, so the short form is Oyin. So today I would be sharing my career journey from being a software engineer to being a DevOps engineer. And I think, I don't know, because I created a poll. I want to be aware of my target audience before the presentation so that, and the reason why it's so that I would be able to explain in such a way that it would be understood by everyone. So I created a poll. I don't know if you can see the poll. I just, it would be nice if you can respond to the poll. I just want to know where you are right now in your career. Like, so the first option is if you are new to tech and you're considering you're considering the DevOps career, or you are already in tech and you're considering pivoting to DevOps, or you're just here to just listen and understand what DevOps is. So I would like if we all respond to the poll. I don't know. Irat, please, or Adira, please, can you see the poll on the chat?
I did see it
Yes,
once, and
people are
then
responding as well.
Ah, all right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so today I would be sharing my journey, and these are the outlines that would be covered today. So today will not be all technical, yes. So it's just about me sharing my journey and giving tips on the DevOps engineering path, tips on how to the technical skills required to be successful in a DevOps role, and also so it's just about sharing my journey and also pointing you to resources on how to upskill yourself to venture into that career. So the first outline is my career journey. I'll be sharing with you my career journey. We'll be understanding what is DevOps itself. We'll talk about what DevOps is itself, the need for DevOps engineers, the difference between a DevOps engineer and a software engineer, why you should be a DevOps engineer, the skills required, the tips and advice. Okay, so I would be starting with my career journey. Okay, so I used to be a software engineer, precisely a backend developer back in Nigeria, where I was responsible for automating business functions using Microsoft technology like the C Sharp programming language. So among the functions we automated were like automating insurance claims processing, automating the purchase of insurance claims. Yeah, and the reason why I'm saying insurance is because the company I worked for was an insurance company then. So I was given that responsibility, and then we used C Sharp programming language. We use ASP.NET Code. Those are like Microsoft's Microsoft tools for building software applications. So while I was doing that, I really enjoyed it because it was just cool to see that what you are building, you're automating processes that were manual before, you are automating it, and you can see the positive impact it's having. Like it's able to make the process faster. You can imagine when customers used to pay for their pay for their premium. Like it was a long process in doing that, but when we came in, we automated the process and we just clicks on button. You can just select the plan you want and make payment. So it was just nice. It was cool to see the positive impacts. Yeah, so I was enjoying it so well. Then after that, I decided to move to the UK for my master's, where I did a master's in software engineering with sandwich placement. So you can see that I was really enjoying the software engineering field. And the reason why I chose to do a master's in software engineering was because I already had the technical experience. I've worked in that field already, but I just wanted to delve deeper into the concepts. Yeah, the theoretical concept of it, like learning algorithms, data structures, and also I just wanted to delve deeper into it. So that's why I opted for it. And I also, so my master's program was with a placement year. And the reason why I chose a placement year too was so that I would have a feel of the market, like the tech market in the UK before committing to it fully after my master's program. So that's why I opted for a placement year too. And the other reason is because I knew that it would boost my chances of landing a permanent role after my master's degree. Yeah. So because my course had placement year, I had to start looking for placement opportunities. I applied to loads of companies, and Lloyds was part of the company I applied to at that time. So I can remember during the application process, I was asked, oh, like what technology area I was interested in as at that time. And I mentioned cloud. So I think that's what informed their decision to put me in a DevOps team. So that is where my DevOps engineering career started from. So I can remember when I started working there, I quickly realized I was quite different from software engineering then, because software engineering, you are focused on designing, building, testing software applications based on the stated requirements. But DevOps is quite different. DevOps is you're automating processes to ensure that the software built by the software engineers is delivered to the customers faster, promptly, and more reliably. So it's quite different. So at this time, so as a DevOps engineer, you're not necessarily like building software applications. You are just aiding the software engineers. You are aiding the software engineers. You are helping out the software engineers. You are automating processes to make their lives easier so they can easily build, test, and rapidly and whatever new features they've developed can reach the customer as fast as possible. So it was quite different, and it was different, yeah. And I had to start learning, like, because DevOps is automation. You are automating processes. So it involves like tools. We have different tools that would be used for the automation of those processes. So I started learning them and all. So that's my journey into DevOps engineering. So after I did that for my placement year, I was offered a permanent role, like if I wanted to come back after my master's degree. And yes, I did, because I enjoyed it and I could see the impact it had in the organization. It's because every businesses now is really focused on delivering their product as fast as possible. So even as a and DevOps engineers, that is the main focus in ensuring that these applications are deployed as fast and reliably and secured as possible. So I enjoyed it because I could see the huge impact it was having in the bank. Yeah. So that is my whole journey into um, DevOps engineering, coming from the software engineering background. Yeah. So having said that, I don't know, do we have Iras, please can you look at the poll and see, is it possible to read out the responses? Because I can't see it from here because
Ye-
I'm sharing my
Yeah.
screen. Okay.
So we have like the most voted for was they just want to learn about DevOps.
Okay.
Then like a close second is working in tech and considering pivoting to DevOps. I also vote for that, by the way. But yeah, and then a few options new to take and considering the DevOps career. So I think we do have like a balance between wanting to learn about DevOps and
Okay.
wanting to pivot to DevOps.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So I know how to tailor my presentation. Yeah. Okay. So having said that, so we'll talk about DevOps. I've been saying DevOps, DevOps, DevOps. What is really DevOps? And before I start talking about it, I also want us to put on the chat. So when you hear DevOps, what comes to your mind? Please, can you drop it on the chat too when you hear DevOps? Please, what comes to your mind? So I'll give us like, let's say 2 minutes to drop our responses on the chat. Thank you.
Okay, so we do you have
Okay.
you probably do not have access to the chat. So
Yeah.
different answers, cloud,
Mhm.
pipelines, CI/CD,
Okay.
development plus automation, maintenance, CI/CD
Mm.
pipelines, the
Practice.
practice or the
Uh,
culture. That's an interesting one.
mm,
Um,
Mm.
dev and infrastructure work together, command
Yeah.
line, yeah.
Oh,
So
yes. Honestly. Okay.
deployment, Linux,
Mm.
Kubernetes, cross-functional teams doing development and operations in iterative fast development, and then automation CI/CD tools. So I think a set of practices in a team of developers. So I do think we have like
yeah.
different answers, varied answers.
Yes, 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 yes. And honestly, the answers are very good. They are correct. They are correct, really. Yes. So it just shows that we are really interested in DevOps. Thank you for dropping your responses. Okay, so like you said, DevOps is um, DevOps is coined from two words, development and operations, as you can see from this picture. Development and operations. So development, you can see build, code, code, plan, test. Operations, release, deploy, operate, monitor. So DevOps is coined from development and operations. So operations is just it involves building, testing, designing software applications with the stated like requirements. So you're given the requirements. I think that's where the planning comes in. So most times the software engineers have conversations with the business analysts and this is the requirements. This is what should be built. So the software engineers, they go ahead, they do the design and they build the software application based on the stated requirements. Then from here, you can see operations, you can see release, you can see deploy, operate, monitor. So for operations in simple form, you can just see that operations is involved in making sure that this software application built by the developers reach the customer as fast as possible. Reach the customer as fast as possible. So that is operations. And before the adoption of DevOps, the way it worked then, the development team and the operations team, then they worked independently of each other, right? So the development team, they write code, they write source code, and they pass it across to the operations team. So the operations team do all the processes to ensure that the software application is reaches the customer. But because then that is now I'm talking of before the adoption of DevOps. Then because they worked separately, they worked independent of each other. So there could be miscommunications, really. there could be miscommunications, there could be so when the operation teams is trying to set up the production environment for the deployment of the application, because at that time they'll be doing it like manually, there tend to be mistakes and all. So with all this disadvantage, the miscommunications, the manual configurations, the pointing of fingers, because then the development team is like, oh, I've built the application. Now I've given it to the operation. I've given it to the operation team. I don't have any business with it. I've done my work and I'm giving it to the operation team. So if it's not working, the development team is like, it's none of my problem. So you can see that like there's this miscommunication, this pointing of fingers here and there, and all of this hinders software delivery. So that is the need. That is where the need of DevOps came in. So DevOps, like someone said it's a way of working. Yes. So DevOps is, you can say DevOps is a set of tools, practices, a way of working, really, that combines and automates the development and operations processes to ensure that this software application built is delivered to the customer as fast as possible. So no matter the iteration, no matter the how much the software goes through iteration. So if DevOps is adopted, it would still the new features and all the new features of the application would still eventually reach the target customer because of the automation of the development and the deployment process. You can also say again that DevOps is a set of tools, is a set of processes that automates the development, the testing, and the deployment of software applications to the target environment. So the target environment, you can just say to the end users. So we can now say that to differentiate DevOps engineer from the software engineers. So software engineers are focused on building the application. DevOps engineers are focused on automating automating processes to ensure that the software application built is given to the end users as fast as possible. Okay, so now let's go to okay, I think I just mentioned the differences now. So we have DevOps engineer and software engineer. Software engineer focus on building, testing, designing, building, testing of software application based on the stated requirements given to them. DevOps engineer, what is their focus is on automating the process of building, testing, and deploying software applications to ensure that the software is delivered quickly, reliably, and without minimal risk. So before I go on, if we have any questions, please, I would like us to drop it on the chat so we can address it after the presentation. Okay, so now I'll go to the next slide. Okay, so the need for DevOps engineer, the need for DevOps engineer. Okay, so in a typical business environment that provides software products. So let's say, for example, a bank that provides a software product like a mobile app. So I'm sure everyone here we all have mobile applications that we use, mobile apps that we use. And to do that, they will have teams of developers. They will have a team of developers that are actively contributing to the source code, to the code base, to build new features, to fix bugs. That is like to fix the flaws in the system. And all these things will be done in an iterative manner. So that is the typical business environment we have now. We have teams of developers building, having like iterative development of software applications. Weeks, in days, they are pushing new features, they are fixing bugs, and also that's a typical environment we have. And also, if with that environment, we all know that the way the market is now, businesses are now focused. They are now focused on delivering production-ready applications faster and more reliably because of the competition. So hence the need for DevOps engineers to make it faster, to automate these processes in building, testing, and deployment of this software applications. So that is the need for, so every business, every organization that provides software products to their customers, they need DevOps engineers. If they want to be competitive in the market space, they need DevOps engineers to automate processes that would ensure that their features, their products reach the customers as fast as possible, as fast as needed. Yeah. So having said that, why you should be a DevOps engineer? So I'm pitching everyone to become DevOps engineers. So why you should be a DevOps engineer? So there is huge business impacts. Like I've been saying, businesses are now focused on businesses are now focused on delivering their software applications as fast as possible. So I researched and I saw that loads of organizations now, they employ DevOps, they adopt DevOps. We have Netflix, we have Amazon, we have Etsy, even banks. So there is it, and the reason why they are doing it is because it has a positive impact in their business. And also there's a high demand for DevOps engineer. So from research, it shows that it says that the DevOps market is expected to grow from an estimated $10.4 billion in 2023 to $25.5 billion in 2028. So you can see the market, and also indeed mentioned that there's a 75% increase in DevOps role and 50% increase in DevOps as a skill in LinkedIn. So you can see that there is high demand for DevOps. So that is the reason why you should be a DevOps engineer, and organizations are willing to pay as much as possible to employ like good DevOps practices. And also why you should be a DevOps engineer is continuous learning, because DevOps is about automation. Yeah, automating different processes. To automate the building, testing, and deployment, you make use of a lot of tools. The automation involves loads of tools. So if you are like me that likes learning new stuff, DevOps is for you. So there's always one tool or the other. There's always one tool coming out for testing. There's always a CI/CD tool. In my organization, then I used to use Tekton, but now I'm now using Harness. So that's another CI/CD tool. So there are different tools that you have to keep learning, and all of this is just still the same thing, to ensure that software applications are delivered as fast as possible. Okay. So now the skills required. One of the major skills required for DevOps is the CI/CD pipelines. I know someone mentioned the first thing they think of in DevOps is CI/CD pipelines. So it's CI/CD pipelines that actually automate the building, testing, deployment of this application. Is a CI/CD tool. And we have different CI/CD tools. We have Jenkins, we have Tekton, we have GitHub Actions. So I just feel like if you can learn one, you should be able to learn other ones, because it's still the same thing. It's just a set of automated tasks that is written to ensure build, test, deploy applications. Then we also have Linux. And the reason why I said Linux is most of the CI/CD tools, they run on the Linux infrastructure. So it's a good thing for you to know Linux commands, the file system, the network administration, and all of that. So Linux too is an important skill that must be learned in DevOps. And also, testing tools. I said JUnit test is for Java application. So because and all this, and CI/CD pipelines make use of, like, employs these tools, testing tools. You add like a step, a step to your pipeline. So it can be step, it can be task. In other words, like, if you add a process in your pipeline to test the application. So let me give an example now. So for example, if I have like let's say I have a Java application now, and the Java application has test cases defined in it. And I want to, okay, so before I deploy this Java application to my, before I deploy this Java application to my end users, I need to ensure that it goes through thorough testing. So what do I do in my CI/CD pipeline? Like I said, CI/CD pipeline is just a set of automated process. So I can just add a process to my CI/CD pipeline that would employ the use of a testing tool. So as developers are checking in their code to the code base, then immediately it triggers it triggers the test. It triggers a test that runs the test cases defined in the code base, in the source code. And if the test case doesn't pass, then the application won't be deployed. So you can see that DevOps even ensures reliability of software application, so that whatever changes that is made to the code base, it would ensure that this the changes are tested. So you can use CI/CD for a lot of things. You can use it to scan. So you can use it to scan. Can use to scan source code for vulnerability. I would have added it, but I didn't just want to. I would have added scanning tools as part of the technical skills, but I didn't want to make I didn't want to make the slides clumsy. So there are different tools. You can add scanning tool to scan your test code for vulnerability. That's like SonarQube, Nexus IQ. You can use all of that to scan and all. So CI/CD pipeline is a major tool used in DevOps for the automation of all these processes. And also we have coding and scripting skills, because DevOps is about automation. So you need bash scripting. You need bash scripting to be able to automate tasks. Configuration management. So you have Ansible, Terraform. So Ansible and Terraform, you can also call them like infrastructure as a code tool. They help in building the infrastructure. They help in building the servers in real time. So that is all about the automation. They help in building the infrastructure that the applications will be deployed to in runtime. They help in like setting the configurations in runtime, so you don't have to do it separately. So all of these helps also in, rapid delivery of the software applications. So we have another tool. We have tool containerization and orchestration. I don't know if we know about Docker. I'm sure you've been hearing about Docker and Kubernetes. So it's a nice skill to have as a DevOps person, because most organizations now, they want to containerize their applications for consistency in different environments. So it's a nice is a very important skill to have in DevOps. And there are so many other skills that you have to learn. Yeah. So this is I just put this one. I just put this few, but you can go online, and when you take trainings and all, they'll point you to the necessary skills that you must have to be a DevOps engineer. So apart from the technical skills, we have soft skills, problem solving and troubleshooting. So I used to work as a software engineer before. So software engineers too, we work on I've developed my skill of problem solving. I've developed my skill of problem shooting. There are times that you're bugged. There are times that your code will not be working as expected. So you need to be patient enough to troubleshoot and find out what the problem really is. The other soft skill is effective communication. You need to effectively communicate with the software engineers that are building the applications, because really you are automating processes to ensure that the applications they built is deployed as fast as possible. So that's DevOps too. DevOps is about collaboration, communication. So effective communication is important. And the other one is continuous learning, because it's very important. You have to keep learning and learning and learning, because there are tools that you have to just learn. There are tools that you've not known and you have to learn, maybe because the organization you are working in requires it. Or maybe if you move somewhere else too, they will require something else. So that's one of the soft skill, continuous learning. Okay, so um, the tips and advice. The tips and advice. Identify the skills required, because to be honest, it can be overwhelming. I can remember when I joined um, the DevOps team initially, I was overwhelmed because of the many tools they were using, and um, I quickly realized that okay, I think I'm good in programming, and because I'm good in programming, I don't think programming is similar to scripting. It's similar to bash scripting and also, okay, I think I know that one. Then I started looking at the skills I did not have and making plans on how to upskill myself. So identify the skills required, evaluate your current skills. You need to be true to yourself and evaluate your current skills, identify gaps and areas for improvement, have a learning plan, and most especially be patient and give yourself time. So sometime last week I had a conversation with a colleague, and he is one is so he me you know I said I worked as a software engineer and now I'm a DevOps engineer. He worked in oil and gas. Really, it was quite different from DevOps engineering. He worked in oil and gas, because I know someone that said here that he's in marketing and is thinking of moving to DevOps engineer. So you can do it really. So he worked in oil and gas, and he said that he was tired, or he wanted something new, he wanted something fresh, and he decided, okay, he's going to take up DevOps. And he said he gave himself like 2 years plan to upskill himself, take courses, take courses on the different skills that is required. So if you are coming from a non-tech field, you have to be patient, and you know you're interested in DevOps, you need to be patient and give yourself time to actually upskill and learn what is required for you to be successful in that field and for you to land a job. So the learning resources that have helped me so far: Code Cloud, you can just Google it. Code Cloud is very good. Code Cloud, you get resources for even cloud engineering, you get resources for CI/CD tools and all. So Code Cloud is very good. And there's this lady I listen to on YouTube, Tech World with Nana. So you can look her up. She's very good. She breaks it down to a level that um, um, uh, a non-tech person can understand. Because even this lady to Tech World Banana, she transitioned to tech. She used to be she said she studied business studies. Can you imagine business studies? And she was able to transition to tech. So I would recommend Tech World with Nana. Tech World with Nana, it's very good. She breaks it down for you, and you can start picking up the skills required. And also IBM courses on DevOps. Yes, IBM has different courses on DevOps that you can also look out to. Then we also have courses in Udemy. I know most of us know Udemy. Most of us know Coursera and plural sites. Yes, but I would recommend the IBM courses, because Udemy, Coursera, and Pluralsight, they have loads of courses, and you might not even know which to pick. Can be overwhelming. So I would recommend taking the IBM courses on DevOps. Uh, so at least that is streamlined. It's not a lot, and I heard that is very, very good. And also Code Cloud too. Code Cloud is also, they have good resources on DevOps too. Yeah. So uh yeah, so I think that is it. Yeah, I was told I just have 40 minutes, and I hope I was able to cover everything in 40 minutes. Yes. So that's the end of the presentation. That's my career journey from software engineering to DevOps, and resources and valuable tips you can use to transition into their career path. Yeah. Thank you. If you have
Awesome.
any questions, can
Thank
drop it on the
you.
chat.
Thank you very much. We do have a lot of
Yeah.
questions, but again, thank you for the presentation. I feel like
Okay.
even though you had like we had like restriction, but it was fine. You could go overboard or share more. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's fine. Like you did
No
like a
problem.
great job to summarize everything, and based on the audience as well. I think a lot of people would have learned like tips, or like get a little bit more clarity regardless of what position they are in.
Yeah.
um yeah. I do like one point that you made about giving yourself time and making a plan, because a lot of people, myself included, have this passion or want to transition into similar roles, but
Yeah.
having that plan and not following through with it, or not giving yourself enough grace to realize that like it's a journey. And
Mm,
especially if you work in a different role now, it's not something
yeah.
you can just jump into or immediately just learn something. Like you need to plan accordingly and give yourself time. I really love
Mm,
that point. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. Madura, do you want to maybe take questions or
We can, yeah, just let me go through the questions. The first one that we have is from MWK. Do you feel someone needs to have good coding skills or background in coding to succeed in DevOps and to secure their first role in DevOps?
Yes, I would say yes, because DevOps involves scripting. Yes, it involves bash scripting, because DevOps, you are automating tasks, you know you are building so we have Terraform. We have Ansible. So you're dealing with like building infrastructure using code. So having that understanding will help you. And also, these CI/CD tools, they run on Linux. They run on the Linux framework. So in order for you to automate the task, you need to have an understanding of scripting, have an understanding of Linux commands. So me too, I did not have the understanding before. I just knew how to code using C sharp, but the syntax is kind of, it's similar. You understand? The style is similar. It's just that the syntax is different. Yes, I think you should take out time to understand how to code. You can start with Python. Python is easy. Yeah, you can start with Python. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is true, because just to add a little bit on context on that one is, you
Mm,
might find yourself that you are good at coding, and then
mm,
start writing small scripts and see how your interest is. And the reason I'm saying this is because I am engineering manager, and most of the time my job is to grow people. And
mm,
sometimes what I find is people the reportees come to me and say, okay, I love scripting, what can I explore? So just go and talk to your manager if you're just interested in, moving to DevOps. That might help as well.
yeah.
So moving on to the next question we have is, how about salary wages for DevOps? Uh,
Okay.
just a rough
Uh,
bracket should be fine.
yeah. So I think okay, because of this presentation, I actually did a research on it, and DevOps, it's high paying. especially if you know what you are doing, if you really understand DevOps and you are able to add value to the team. So you can, I think you can Google it and see that it's a high paying role, really. Yes. And the reason is because we don't have loads of DevOps engineers. So there's a high demand. And you know, when there's a high demand for something, companies are willing to pay as much as possible. Yes.
And
So
I think there is a pressure to push the deliveries to production. I think that is the
yes.
one. People are rushing for, I don't know, every day pushing to production every hour. So that
Yeah.
thing is always there. And in
Yeah.
that respect, it's a good job to have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good motivation, but also keep in mind, like you also need to give yourself that time. So don't, especially if you don't have like that previous experience or
Yeah.
you're just learning, give yourself grace and don't make give have like too high expectations that like you, the very first role you land will give you like thousands or six figure. So
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
also have to be very realistic with like the
Yeah.
salaries. It's a high demand job, so it would pay well, but you'd like with more experience grows your pay. So like that's also
Yes.
something you also
Yeah.
need to
Yeah, I
keep in
mean,
mind.
yes, you wouldn't start on a higher bracket right away.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You
key.
would
Yes.
need to gather and move up the ladder.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Um, so there is one more question. What are the differences between a cloud engineer and DevOps? I've heard people talk about the two interchangeably.
So we have we have different cloud platforms, right? We have Azure, we have Google Cloud, we have Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, yes.
Yes,
And even
Oh,
AWS.
you forget
yes,
AWS.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
Yes, yeah, because I actually have a certification in Google Cloud Associate Engineering. Yeah, as a Google Cloud Associate Engineer. So I would say Google cloud engineers are focused on the cloud platform, really. They're focused on the cloud platform. They are focused on building VMs, different like the products in the cloud platform, helping you to provision infrastructure in the cloud. It depends on the cloud environment. It depends on the cloud platform they are used to. Yes, but DevOps goes beyond that. DevOps is about delivery, really. DevOps is about delivery. So and for some people will say, yes, even as a DevOps engineer, you should have knowledge of cloud. Yes, you should have knowledge of cloud because most times now most organizations are now deploying to cloud. So that's why I mentioned Kubernetes, I mentioned Docker and all. So cloud, so the difference between cloud engineer and DevOps engineer is cloud engineer is just focused on a particular cloud platform like AWS, helping you to provision your infrastructure on the cloud, helping you to provision your networking and all of that on the cloud. But DevOps goes beyond, like it's beyond that. DevOps is about automating processes for software delivery.
yeah.
Yes. And sometimes the software delivery might not necessarily, the production environment you are deploying to might not necessarily be cloud. It can be on-prem. So yeah, so it's quite different.
I think Mustaq has a question. He has raised his hand.
Okay.
You can go ahead, Mustaq.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
My name is Mustaq, and thank you for your wonderful presentation so far, Roy. I just wanted to understand a point of view from your experience and from your insights as well. So this is a conversation between me and my friend. So he is
Okay.
already into DevOps, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he said he is switching into web development, like a full stack development. And
Mm,
I was in the idea that I want to try DevOps, so I
mm,
wanted to learn more about DevOps, right?
mm,
And when my friend told me otherwise, I asked him why, and he said that in the future it's more like from how he understood it, it's like a puzzle. Yeah, once you have the puzzle working, the entire end to end workflow works perfectly, right? But
Mm-hmm.
he was like, what after everything is done? Like, initially you have to set it up, you have to find the pieces for the puzzle,
Mm-hmm.
and then you develop a pipeline, and one final end flow, you have achieved what you set out for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what next? Was his question. So he said that since the AI and automation is rising rapidly, he said that
Mm-hmm.
it's not really like you wouldn't have many things to do as a DevOps developer, since you already have an existing puzzle which works wonderfully, except for one or two lines that you have to update, for example. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So,
I get where you're coming from. Yeah.
any comments
Yeah.
over here?
Okay, but what I would say, okay, so you're saying if you should pivot to, if it's what's pivoting to cloud, to DevOps, right?
Right. That was my idea. I
Mm,
wanted to check out DevOps,
mm-hmm.
but after my conversation with my friend, I'm a bit
Yeah.
confused. So maybe you can highlight some point
Okay.
of view.
Yes. So yes. So there's this thing that AI is going to overtake everything. Yes, and even the web development is going to. So there's this fear that AI will automate, AI will overcome, like overtake everything. But what I would say is really DevOps from research.
Hmm.
You understand? From research, I don't think I think it's still worth doing, really. And even if eventually it's about software delivery, really, and it's about practices. It's not really about the how do I I'm trying
I
to
think if I
okay, can you help me?
yeah, yeah, I can jump in and just say that
Okay.
I don't think it's like you set up the pipeline and you
Mm-hmm.
just forget about it. It's not like, if we take a normal pipeline, which is like, say, gas, oil, whatever is in the real world, you
Yeah.
normally have maintenance on it. You just don't forget about it. It's like it's not, it runs, but
Hmm.
you will have incidences happening, or some sort. As you scale, your application becomes more, obviously the business is growing, your
Right.
application is going to grow, and you might move from one technology to another. That has to be factored into the pipeline. Then you would have to make adjustments depending on what sort of scaling or something that has happened. So I don't think that it
Mhm.
ever will happen that you will set up a pipeline and just forget about it and just say, okay, now my job is done. I don't just pay
Yeah.
me the salary and I'll move on. So I don't think maintaining, managing, there are a lot of things like developer experience, right? If your developer is writing code and then they are not able to deploy it properly, there are sort of friction points. Those
Mhm.
friction points will be addressed by the DevOps team as to how do you improve the flow, improve the experience when you're actually deploying to the production environment. Sometimes what happens is you need to set up some guardrails, right? Like for instance, initially you might have a pipeline which is needs a lot of manual intervention. You might
Mhm.
progress to a one where you automate a lot of things, so that right away, like I click one button, it goes through acceptance test, unit test, goes to staging, does more stuff, and then goes to production. Those
Right.
kind of, they are always evolving. It's like saying I write my software and I'll never touch it again. That's never going to happen. And in fact, if you're comparing to AI,
Mhm.
uh, there is always a fear, right? Why do we even need to write code? Because
Yeah.
pilot is coming, there is so many other things are there, and we might not be even needed for coding. But that's not going to happen because somebody has to check. Somebody,
Right.
there always will be some sort of friction points which the DevOps team will have to go and revisit to make sure the pipeline is running properly.
Yeah.
And
And
at least that's my take on it.
yes, and if using these AI tools, they'll give suggestions
Mhm.
because yeah, they'll give I know there's this one Copilot. You know, Copilot, you will give suggestions on how. So it's just a suggestion. It might not be the actual, like that is not what to be needed to solve the problem. So I like what Madura said. Maintainability is very important. Maintainability is also part of CI/CD. You
Yeah.
need to be able to
Absolutely.
maintain. Yes, you need to be able to maintain, and maintainability involves monitoring. So there's continuous monitoring. So you need to keep monitoring the CI/CD pipelines, getting output of how it is running and everything. So it's not a waste of time going
No,
into DevOps.
yeah,
Yes.
because even with when you have these SRE engineers, incident happens, something on they change something on the infrastructure level, but then it might have an impact on your pipeline, and then somebody
Mm,
has to work on that. So I don't think it's one or the other. One can evolve into the other. If you are a software engineer and want, you like DevOps, you can try it out. If it doesn't work, like, you might find, oh, I don't want to write any more script.
yeah.
You might as well go back and look at software engineering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
That's
But
very
it's yeah, it's worth your while. Yeah, you should give it a try. Really, you should.
great.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much
Thank
for your
yeah.
comprehensive insight, you
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you both
Thank
for
you.
that. We do have a lot of questions,
We
but
have,
I know that
Wow.
we'll
we've
just
run
quickly
over
go to the
time.
next one.
Yeah.
Wait, I lost track of where I was
Wow.
working on the. Okay, I was working on the cloud. I think this is not a question, but is there a
Oh,
roadmap for us to start studying DevOps?
Sorry, is that what?
Is there a roadmap to start studying DevOps?
Yes. So that's why I listed some of the skills that is required, and I also listed the resources. So you need to take the courses. And I recommend the IBM courses too and Code Cloud. They will take you through what you need. Like some of them will start with scripting because you need scripting in the CI/CD pipeline, and also there's a roadmap that you have to follow. So I would employ you to just go check the resources at listed, and you should be able to find the roadmap and the list of things that will be the list of skills that you need to um, gain to be a successful and to move into that career path. Yeah, there's a roadmap.
All
and
right. Thank you
to
so
follow up
much.
on that, because there's a question later that also is similar. Someone has
Okay.
like hands-on experience with some of these different tools,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not covered in the courses that the person is taking, and they feel overwhelming and frustrating. So if there like more focused learning plans that you can suggest, I think the answer to that would be Code Cloud, because Code Cloud has like these learning paths. I also
Learning path.
think yeah, I also think Tech World with Nana, she has like this program that is like focused and helps you to like streamline what you need to learn and what you can like how you can get prepared to go into a DevOps role. So most of these are paid. Just keep that in mind. So if you want like a more focused learning plan, um, that would get you where you want to be faster, then keep in mind that like you need to pay for some of these resources. But if you want to make use of free resources, and there are tons of free resources, you need to be dedicated and like put in the time and the effort to be able to map this out yourself. Oyin, if you want to add to that, or Madura.
Yes, and I also want to say something. Yes, I totally agree. It can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. So that's why I'm saying that you should just look at you should focus on the learning path. You understand? So even if you cannot, if at the moment maybe you can, if the cost of going through taking the course is a lot, so you can look at Tech World with Nana. She had like list of skills that you can learn. So you can just pick it one by one on there are some free courses, or you can go on YouTube and search for that particular skill set and learn it. And the other thing I also want to say, one of my friend he told me was like, then apply for interviews. apply for interviews. Don't be scared. Apply for interviews. If you feel that, okay, I've learned to this extent, apply for interviews and even hear what the interviewers like, what they want. So when you apply for interviews, you'll be able to, it will build your confidence level, right? It will build your confidence level and it will help you know what recruiters actually need from you.
That's a very good tip, I
Yeah.
think. That's a fantastic
Yeah.
too, because it validates how much you know, and then it
Mm-hmm.
prepares you for what is, next time what to expect in that interview.
What's
So you can
Yeah.
fill that gap in between. That's a
Yes.
fantastic tip. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's very
We
good.
do have to move on to the next questions because we are already overrun on time.
No.
Is it mandatory to transition from a software engineer role to become a DevOps engineer, or is it possible to go directly into DevOps with only basic courses in software engineering?
So you know what? I would say that it's take courses in software engineering. The reason why I want you to take courses in software engineering really is because that, okay, maybe you might not have industry experience in software engineering, but take courses. It will give you an understanding of what you need to do. Because as a DevOps engineer, you'll be working with different programming, like you'll be working with different programming languages. Really, you're not the one building it, but the
Yeah.
application teams, they're using Java, they're using C Sharp, they're using Python, and they want to deploy all of this to
Yeah.
target environment. So having having the knowledge, having the understanding of it would help you to, okay, fully grasp how you need to actually automate all this process. For example, I gave an example of testing.
Yeah.
Testing, you know, ideally in a code base, you need to have test cases that should run, right?
Yeah.
And in a CI/CD pipeline, ideally, you should have a process for testing. So if you are not familiar with coding, if you are not familiar with the idea of test cases, how will you use the tool to, like, how will you adopt the tool in your CI/CD pipeline to actually test those test cases?
Yeah.
And remember, I said that DevOps is combining the process of development and operations. So you should have an idea. You should have an idea of, okay, building and what is required in building an application. Okay, if I have if I want to build microservices, have an understanding of microservices. Microservices have different like APIs and all. How do I deploy this? So you need to have an understanding of it. Maybe you don't really necessarily need to have an industry experience, but take courses on it to just have an idea. Because as a DevOps engineer, you are stepping back and looking at the breadth of the software development life cycle, how this application builds will be deployed. So if you don't have an understanding of software development, it might be hard to actually bring in value, to actually automate these processes. So I would say that you should take time, you should just take a course. This my colleague that landed a role. He actually took time. He took a course in IBM, a software engineering course, just to have an understanding. And now he's a DevOps engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so
No,
it's really
and I
important.
think it will help you to speak as well to the dev team, right? If they
Yes.
come to you and say, oh, my API tests are not working, the pipeline is not working, my tests are failing, you would at least be able to communicate with them what happened. In that respect, you need to have the basic understanding at least.
Yes. Yes.
Let's move on. Do you need to be an expert in coding like Python and C# and command line? Do you need to be an expert? I think we have answered that, right? It's we need scripting more than actually a software engineering language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do companies typically offer a role that includes both back-end development and DevOps task, or are these generally considered distinct positions? I think I can answer that as they are distinct positions.
Yeah, they are.
Hire a DevOps engineer and ask them to work on the back end. But yes, if you want to add something more, Oyin,
No, really, you've answered. They're distinct, very
they're quite
distinct. Yeah.
distinct. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
but they have like overlapping skills. Like if you have like knowledge of programming language, you can use that knowledge to that knowledge will aid you in scripting. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
they are
generally
yeah.
you wouldn't expect, unless it's a very small company and they're just starting up and they want you to do everything,
Do everything.
yeah, write APIs also, and then create the CI/CD pipeline and deploy, which is not so common in normal bigger companies.
Yeah.
What else is there? I have hands-on experience. Is this the one taken, right?
Yeah, that's the
Ashley?
one. That
Yeah,
was the one we answered the other time. I think we have just one left. I'm not.
I
Yeah.
think yes. Do you need an operating system to work as DevOps engineer?
Do you mean a
Sorry.
laptop or
Do
a
you need
computer?
do you need an operating system to work as a do you need knowledge of operating system in the sense that because
Yes.
it runs on Linux, or so in that sense, yes.
Mhm.
I need to drop off. Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much. In future, do you think there will be more demand for software engineers in general or DevOps engineer? That even I would love to know that answer. Is it going to
Yeah.
be about the AI at this
I
point?
am going to give that a go and say with the current job market in the UK, I do think DevOps engineers would always be would
Oh, you
most
think
likely be
so?
more demand because there are a lot of software engineers now, but not enough people going into DevOps engineers. So the demand would always be there because it has like a smaller set of people with those specific skill sets. So if you want to be, you want probably you'll have the plan of wanting to stand out or always be able to get like a job or something. I would say go for the skill sets that are niched and
Yeah.
are in more demand. But that doesn't mean that like we don't need software
Hold
engineers
on,
anymore. No.
hold on.
Yeah, there'll be a need for software engineers.
Yeah.
I need to put the
Yeah.
feedback form. Okay, before people
Oh
leave.
my goodness, a
Hold
lot of
on,
people
hold
have
on,
already
hold on.
left.
Feedback,
I think
please.
this was like a great session. So I'm glad
Yeah,
that people
I was
asked
so
a lot
Yeah.
caught
of
up in talking
questions.
that did I just put the correct one?
Yes.
Yes, I hope so.
Please, before you go, please do
Please,
drop us the
please, yes.
feedback. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
attending. We'd
it
also
was
share this on our Slack as well. So please do join us. Please do feedback the session as well. It would help us organize more sessions, related careers. Cloud engineering, for example, we could bring someone for cloud engineering. We could explore site reliability. So yeah, just please do drop us a feedback. Do join our Slack. And thank you very much, Oyin, for this wonderful
very,
presentation.
very,
Thank
very,
you.
very engaging. Yeah, it was really nice. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
Yeah.
thank you for having me, and I also thank you for the
I
contributions too.
think
It was
there is
really
one
good.
question. I think there is one
Okay.
point.
All right.
Abdella, please go ahead.
Uh,
I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, but
I know I was David. I just want to thank you guys. And my final question was, I know you finished, and because my question was, about the coding and about the operating system. That's what I was asking. The reason because of asking at this moment, I'm taking DevOps, and the most I've been doing it to command line, Linux, and Yankees, all through the command line. So I was a bit confused. What is about the command line to operate the system? That is about DevOps, or do I need to the work they need to be done through different things, not only command line? That was a bit confused. That was my question.
I see, I see. So do you always need command line, or is there any other option, Oyin?
Yeah,
Oh,
to what the DevOps. Yeah, thank you.
okay. Okay. Thank you. I think I understand now. So it's really the difference. It's DevOps is scripting, really. It's Linux. So and Linux, I think you're already in you already in a good in the right direction. At least you're already learning. You already have command line skills and all. So these command line skills can also be will be needful, will be useful when building your CI/CD pipeline, because these CI/CD pipelines, right? These processes, they mostly run on Linux infrastructure, and to interact with Linux infrastructure, you need what? Command line, you need scripting and all. So it's still the same thing. Still need the scripting language, you still need the bash scripting to actually communicate and automate tasks in the CI/CD pipeline. So what I would say, Abdullah, you are in the right, you are doing the right thing. You are learning command line, you are learning Linux and all, which is good. So when you notice that when you are building your CI/CD pipeline, when you are writing scripts for each process, you would make use of shell scripting. You make use of Linux commands and all. So it's useful. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, yes, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks
Thank you
so
for
much.
joining. Oh, I think we need to end the recording, but like, yeah, thank you. Don't forget to check out our meetup page to view